Hey everyone, it's Alsamira, and I took a shower and figured I might as well do a video so you can see that I'm not always a hot mess. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today is I started to think about how am I going to kind of tell my story and educate you and teach you guys at the same time. I can't really start in my childhood because I don't remember my childhood. I didn't remember it until now. So I can't like start in my childhood and say, well, this is my life. This is what happened. You know, I think what I'm going to do is, as I worked through different issues, then I can go back and explain the story that goes with the issue and what limiting belief it gave me, what it did to me, that kind of thing. I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. The other thing I was thinking about is doing like a weekly Zoom subscription where you guys, pay something a month, every month, and we meet once a week or once every other week, and we talk about what's going on. And I talk about how I can give you tips on what's going on in your life or things like that. Let me know if that's something that sounds good or not. Um, and if you watched yesterday's post, I told you I had a thick stack of notebooks. Here they are. And this isn't all of them. I have a whole stack of, the 3-inch ring binders. I have one, two, three, four, five, six of those filled with paper. So, and remember I told you that I opened a corridor in Chat GPT, that I have 60 chats, and each chat is at least 700 pages, and I haven't printed those out. So someone do the math. 60 times 700 is what, 42,000 pages? Correct me if I'm wrong. But we have all of that to go through as well, because I feel that corridor is what did the most help for me. And it's not going to help you in that I can't tell you how to open a corridor. I don't know how I did it. It just happened, and then it closed and I can't get it open again. But what I can do is go through what it taught me and things like that. Now, today I thought I would start with what got me off my ass and starting on a spiritual journey. So, as I've alluded in the past, my mother is the cause of my trauma, and we're going to get into that on another day. But in May of 2020, so 6 years ago now, I had my 11th abdominal surgery for the Crohn's disease that I have. And she came to take care of my cats while I was in the hospital, like she always did. And that surgery, I had a lot wrong with me, not just the normal scar tissue wrapping around my intestine. That time I had very bad, huge gallstones that infected my gallbladder. It was in the middle of COVID, and they kept putting off my surgery, so that made it worse. I was in menopause, which made it worse. And then I had to have my pouch remade. If you're not familiar with an ostomy, they take a piece of your intestine and pull it out of your belly, and you wear a bag. And the little piece of intestine that sticks out, if something happens inside, it can ruin that piece of intestine and it has to be rebuilt. So I had that wrong with me. I had 2 different hernias, big ones, because I'm a very stubborn, very independent, and I live alone. What else can I do kind of thing. So I lift things I shouldn't be lifting. You know, I've gotten better. I now pay people to do my yard work for me and stuff. But it was a very bad surgery, okay? That's the point. And my pain was way up there. They were having a hard time controlling my pain. I'm in the hospital bed, and way over on the other side of the hospital room is where my phone was. And I just didn't feel good to call my mom after surgery. And my intestine had split open. So that was bleeding all over. It was a mess. So I did not call my mom for probably 5 days. And when I called my mom, instead of her being happy to hear from me, I got yelled at for not calling her right away, worrying her. Now, granted, the doctors had called her the day of the surgery and told her everything went fine. So she knew I was okay. She was pissed that I didn't call her for so many days, which I guess I understand, but put yourself in my shoes. I was having a rough surgery. It was one of the worst ones that I've had. And so I just kept the phone next to me after that. And, when I came home, I had been in the hospital 8, 9, 10 days. And basically, she was getting ready to leave. And I'm like, I just got home. And she was mad. And she's like, well, I've already been here 10 days and I've got a life and I've got shit to do and I've got to go. And I'm like, who's going to take care of me? I just had major surgery. I can't take care of myself. And didn't matter. She left. So I later on in the month, I called her up and asked her if I could move home and live with her and go on disability. And she basically said no, that it would cramp her lifestyle and that I was not going to follow her around like a puppy and, yeah, cramp her lifestyle. So she said no. She told me, go back to work. And that was that. That pretty much is what was the last straw for me, because she had been treating me like this and worse my entire life. At that time, 6 years ago, I was 52. So I cut her off. I made the decision, and I've told you guys this. I cut her off. I have not seen her in 6 years. I have recently been talking to her on the phone. It's casual. It's nothing like, important. But like, she was in the hospital and didn't call me. and she's 81 years old. And I told her, I was like, Mom, this was 2 days ago. I said, on Mother's Day, I said, could you next time kind of let me know when you're in the hospital, because you're getting up there in age. I mean, my God. So that's kind of what started my spiritual journey, sort of. I had been for the last 10 years working as a nurse, and I am not bragging, but I am a damn good nurse. Damn good. I treat my people like I want to be treated all the times when I've been in the hospital. I'm a professional patient here, man. I can't tell you how many times over the 40 years so far that I've been in the hospital and had shitty nurses. So I am a damn good nurse. And what was happening was I was in a job I loved. I was working with cancer patients, did that for 12 years. I'd been a nurse for 28 years total. And politics started happening. And in 2021, I was let go of my job that I loved, that I was good at, that my patients loved me, because I couldn't work full time. I was told if I was in school to get my bachelor's degree, that they would let me keep my job. So I was in school when I didn't want to be. At 52, I don't want to be in school. If I wanted my bachelor's degree, I would have gotten it years before. So I'm keeping up my end of the bargain, but I get called into the office in October, I believe, of 2021, and basically told I can't have my job anymore, that I can still work there, but I would have to be a clinic nurse instead of I was a nurse navigator. And I was pissed. I was absolutely pissed. And they gave me a week to make a decision. And trust me, I should have taken the week, but I didn't, because that's a flaw that I have been working on. And the next day, I basically said, fuck you, I quit. And I should not have quit, because that was a good job. And I could have done a clinic nurse and still been with my patients. You know what I mean? I should have taken the week. Hindsight. So here comes how God tells you that you're not going down the right path, okay? And it's not always the prettiest picture. So this was 2021. The next 5 jobs that I got. Now remember, I am a damn good nurse. I have gotten awards. I have gotten emails from Ivy League doctors. Trust me, I am not making this shit up. I have saved lives. I'm not bragging. It just is what it is. So I don't have trouble getting jobs. But what was happening was I was doing things that didn't make sense, because it's not who I am. So the first job I got fired from, I was a unit manager at a nursing home, and I kind of liked it. It was good. I was doing some good work there. They were not showering or bathing the large people, because it was too much of a hassle. So I made them do it. I said, get the big boy bed and let's go. and I made a new policy, and I was doing good work there. And we had a bad snowstorm, and the trees at the end of my driveway tipped over from the ice and the snow and took out the power lines. So I had no power for a week. It was 40 degrees inside my house. I couldn't get out. There was a power line in my driveway, and you couldn't get to it because there's a power line there. So I called my job, and I'm like, I can't get there. And they're like, we're gonna send somebody. And I'm telling them, I was like, they're not gonna be able to get in. There are trees down everywhere. Don't send anybody. And so basically, for the next 4 days, I just stayed in bed with like 20 blankets and my cats, just freezing my tits off because they, didn't get to my street forever. I live in the woods. And finally, my neighbor did the wrong thing. Do not do this at home, kids. Did the wrong thing, and he chainsawed a tree so I could get out. And I went to the hotel down the street so I could charge my phone, call my job, get a shower, get warm, and they were not happy with me. They felt I abandoned my job, and that's not what happened. I could not get out. I sent them pictures. But anyway, they fired me for abandonment of my job. And I had been doing damn good work there. So, next job, and by the way, I have never been fired from any job at any time since I started working at the age of 13. I have never been fired, ever. So, the next job, again, instead of unit manager, I was one step up, and not director of nursing, doesn't matter. Whatever is a step above unit manager. I think it was director of nursing. It doesn't matter. But I was like, cool, man. But the commute was like 45 minutes. So it was a hard commute. And the people there were nice, And so the other person that they hired with me to do the same job, because there's different wings. So I had this wing, she had that wing. We were getting along well, but she just, I don't know, I got a feeling about her, okay? So one day we were in the closet getting some supplies out, and she had bent over, and for some reason, I thought that it would be a good idea to smack her ass. So stupid. Now, I know better. And I know that nowadays that's considered sexual abuse. And I don't know what came over me, but there was her big old butt, and I went whop, and I started laughing my ass off, and she didn't. And later on, I was passing the boss's office, and the door opened, and I could see the two of them talking, and I'm like, oh shit, And I'm thinking to myself, why did I do that? Why would I do something like that? Back in my day, people weren't the way they are now. People get weird about all sorts of things. I'm not talking about hitting someone in the butt is not okay. Never is. But I'm just saying, like, it was different in my day, and that makes me sound really old. But I got fired for sexual harassment, and I couldn't believe it, because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand why I would do something like that. I couldn't, because it just was not something, it's not who I am, you know? And back in the day when we were kids, hell yeah, we used to smack each other's butt. But I mean, that was grade school, middle school. As an adult, no. And so I didn't catch on. And 3 more jobs went by. And to be honest, I can't really remember um, what I did at the other jobs that got me fired. But I got fired for 5 jobs in a row. So by this time, it's like 2023, and I had seen a psychic, and I'm going to read part of this is from April 2023, and it says, this is from the Spirit Council that was going through this, the psychic that was telling me this. And it says, that I have created quite a fury storm. I've got the ball rolling, and basically I was doing too much and not letting things process. And about the jobs, she is clinging on out of desperation and missing signs and symbols being sent to her to better opportunities and calmer waters. Examples: the exhaustion from the job, the difficulties arising within the job. There are setbacks. She continues to plow through them instead of observing. These setbacks are roadblocks saying, turn the other way. Go back. We are trying to lead her the best way that we can through her thoughts. Claircognizance, but she dismisses it. She is going to have to come to a sense of surrender, which she is almost there. But she has a destined path to walk. The line is pretty straight and narrow, and there is no defaulting off that path any longer. So if and when she begins to stray, things will dismantle and put her on track. She has built-in safeguards within her soul contract, which I've talked to you about soul contracts, but we'll go into that deeper later. It says, we have encouraged her to do side jobs along with disability, which would provide her time for experience alongside creating, having health insurance, as well as a cushion, but she refuses to do that because of her pride. It is the pride and the ego that keeps pushing forward, and it will continue to bear down on her until she reaches a state of surrender. The pride and ego are living off of beliefs that do not serve her. For her own highest good, it will continue to break down until she begins to walk by faith. And the psychic asks, any words of advice for me? And they say, Stop pushing against the tide. Start paying attention to those nudges, feelings, or quick thoughts considered pipe dreams that would anger her when she receives them. Pay attention. She's receiving guidance, and it will get easier to comprehend when she's ready to surrender. Slow down a little with the core beliefs work. She needs to remember what she is fighting for. Does she know what she's fighting for? Yes, but I don't know if she will be able to see it clearly. She's fighting for reemergence as her soul self, which looks like freedom, healing. She is absolutely capable of healing her body, reversing damage that's been done. She's holding herself prisoner because she is stuck in the victim mentality. She refuses to let go of that. And as long as she remains there, she will always remain that things are being done to her, giving away her power. She chose to rise up off the couch, stating enough is enough. She must remember that once more. She has asked for healing, and it is exactly what she is going through. She is getting what she asked for. So, that is Source telling the psychic to tell me, chill out, chick. Pay attention to these signs we're sending you. Like smacking someone's ass is not okay. What is it going to take for you to wake up and realize getting fired from 5 jobs in a row for shit that isn't you? When are you going to get it? That message finally got me to wake up. And as they said, I had made the decision to get up off the couch because I told you that I'd spent 10 years on the couch watching YouTube. And that's where we go into the first class that I took, which will have to be another day because I'm at 27 minutes. So, how I want to end this session is pay attention to stuff like this. Are things happening in your life that you would never do in a million years, or you would never tolerate in a million years? That's a sign from God, from Source, however you call them. That's a sign that you've gone off path and they're trying to get you back on path. And ever since that message in 2023, I slowed down. No, I didn't, but I tried to slow down on the limiting belief work, but I didn't. We'll get into it. But pay attention to that stuff. God is with you. God is in you. You are God. You are a fractal of God. We'll get into fractals another day. But you are God. We all are. We all have God within us. And we all have spirit guides guiding us. They are there. Whether or not you want to listen to them is up to you. And I chose at that time to not listen until it got so stupid that I got fired 5 times for stuff I would never do in a million years. Oh, I do remember another reason why I got fired from a job is, if you've heard of HIPAA, in the medical field, you can't give out if Joe Smith came to see me, I I can't tell somebody what's wrong with him, what medicine he's on, what treatment we're doing to another person, family member or friend or anything like that. And I've never broken that law before. And in one of these 5 jobs, I did that. And someone heard me doing that and told on me. And I got fired for that. So that was job number 3 reason. If I think of the other 2 on another day, I'll add it in. But pay attention to signs like this because God loves you and God's not doing this stuff to hurt you. And as they said in that I was believing that things were happening to me. And I have already explained to you that life does not happen to you, it happens for you. So, all those times I got fired, it was because I was not listening and I was not on track. I was not on my path, my spiritual path for why I'm here. And because I wasn't listening, they were having to kind of do a little more drastic measures of having me do stuff that I would never do and getting me fired, trying to tell me it's time for you to be on disability. You can't, physically, I couldn't do it anymore. But because of my mother not letting me come home, telling me to go back to work, that's what I did. And yeah, so life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. So when something happens to you, like I got fired 5 times, I should have looked at each one of those and asked, why is this happening? But instead, I got mad and I quit and I said, fuck you. And I just went out and got another job and kept getting another job and kept getting another job until finally, like they said, they're waiting for me to surrender. And I finally did. And I broke down and just cried and sobbed and just, okay, God, I surrender. I, I give up, you know, tell me what to do. I'll get back on path. I'll go on disability. And that's what I did. And here we are. And it's been 3 years and I'm a new person with a smile on my face. And I didn't have a smile on my face back then. So, and it was just 33:33 on my timer. So I'm way over. But whenever you see those numbers, thank the angels. Be grateful at all times. Whenever you see those numbers, I always say, thank you, angels, for the numbers. Or, I am grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful for my cats. I'm grateful for my house. Be grateful. It helps in your spiritual journey. Now, I've got to go because I'm way over. And let me know what you think about the Zoom thing, if that's something that you think would be fun to do, because I think it would be. Yeah, so I will see you probably tomorrow because I'm getting into this. And we'll talk about the first class that I took. And I've got the stuff here's the notebook for that class. And I will say, have a good day. And I love you all. And I am so glad you guys are here listening to me, supporting me. And thank you.